Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is well out there. Welcome to Saturday night College of Swing Era Knowledge. Give everybody a chance to get in and connected here. Once again, Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge. Monday nights, jazz. Tuesday, Charleston. Wednesday, Lindy Hop and Jitterbug. Thursday evening, swing right here in Spokane. Friday, shag. Saturday night, Balboa and BAL-SWING. Sundays, teacher and organizer chats. Welcome to April 11th. Today we talk about Balboa and BAL-SWING. And I had some specific requests. If you look in the description on the Facebook, Instagram, you don't have that. So let's pause this. Okay. I had a request from somebody to talk about turning with triple steps. And that got me thinking, and we had already done the Lindy Hop lesson where I would, I guess, or the Jitterbug where I would quote unquote normally put in triple steps. But I often do this exercise or this little workshop, mini exercises in Balboa classes. And what I told her in the Facebook lands is I'll figure out a way to incorporate the triples, because tonight's lesson is all about turning technique and momentum. Now this happens, yes, Hopper, all the time in Balboa. It happens all the time in many dances, but in particular, because of the way we typically have the normal patterns of Balboa, especially BAL-SWING, we're going to step through our turns, which requires the follower to have some momentum, and then the leaders use the frame to redirect momentum, and that's what tonight's lesson is going to be all about. So if I'm gonna have Jackie come out here. I'm going to dance through a couple BAL-SWING figures just so you can kind of see how it falls into play with all kinds of movements. And then the last bit of class, I'm going to show you the quality of movement, the frame play, and whatnot. And so we want to be mindful of those of you out there that might be home with a partner you can dance with. We're going to show you what you want to do. If you don't have a partner at home, then hopefully you read the note before tonight, getting some props. And if you don't have any, we'll figure it all out and I'll show you how to do all the movement. So once again, welcome to Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge, Balboa edition, BAL-SWING, specifically turns, turning technique, and momentum. So check this out. I'm going to do a couple moves. What's up, Hops? Off, buddy. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do a couple moves with Jackie. Let me get these out of the way for a second. All right. So I want you to notice that as I do all of these, what I'm going to call foundation BAL-SWING movements, Jackie's going to keep her momentum going, keep her hips going, and I'm basically just going to use her frame to create some different shapes. So here we are, and I'm just going to do a throw out. Notice Jackie has some rotation, and she comes back in. Now I'm going to do some lollies. Boom. Hop, and then I'm going to lead a turn. She's going to turn, and I use that connection, boom, to turn her different ways. Hop, boom, boom, oh, and da-da-da. Now I'm going to do a pop turn. Boom, shoot, she turns, and I use that connection. Now let's say I wanted to take that pop turn, and I want to go another way. So I pop, and I block, and she goes the other way. Boom, boom, and I'm just using her frame to create all these different movements in BAL-SWING. It happens all the time. In Lindy Hop, you're constantly going to be doing turns. Step, step, triple step, turn, boom. Work it the other way, shoot, turning, turning, tuck, other way, boom. There's all kinds of stuff that you do in Lindy Hop as well. So, but if you are at home with a partner, here's the basis of what we're going to work with tonight. we're basically going to work back and forth, and we're just going to do what we call some frame play. So if you're with a partner at home, followers, leaders, you're just going to like stay put. And if you got a roommate or somebody that's practicing along with you, whatever, the leader is the person that's going to frame play. The follower is going to be doing the footwork. So whoever the leader is, your roommate, your cat, your dog, your sibling, whatever, you don't have to do anything with your feet. You're just going to be a base for the followers to go back and forth. And the first motion is just going to be going back and forth, working the outside of the frame. And Jackie's going to step into that and turn, step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot. And I'm just on the outside working the frame. Watch from this angle. So frame, I'm on the outside of the frame. She turns in, step, pivot, step, pivot. She's working back and forth, step, pivot, step, pivot. Watch from this angle. She step, pivots, pivots. Now, as a leader, you can play with, if you have a partner at home, this is kind of the best scenario. Now you have the outside of the frame. You can work the inside of the frame. Jackie's still doing that step pivot. So again, outside, boom, inside, maybe opposite hand, or inside, boom, boom. So you're going to play with this connection. Followers are going to keep their frame, their elbows bent and in front of them, not so stiff that she bounces hard off of the connection, but has a nice spongy frame that allows her hips to continue that momentum. We're going to talk about that in a second. Now, here's the tricky part for tonight. Again, if you have a partner at home, as we're working this back and forth, at any time, if I take the connection away, Jackie's going to turn. Step, 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 boom. So in general, in Balboa, we have these boom, step, 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 boom patterns. Boom, step, 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 boom patterns. Watch this again. I'm going to put that in relation to a pop turn. So we're here, and we have boom, step, 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 boom, step, 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 boom, step, 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 ending, bump, bump, bump. We're in lollies. Boom, step, boom, step, boom, step, boom, step, 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 boom, step, 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 boom, step, boom, step, boom, step, 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 boom. So in a lot of the figures that we use, that exercise is used all the time. So again, if you're home, you're working the outside of the frame, you're working the inside of the frame, and then leaders, when we get into the exercises, leaders will take that connection away, which will create a turn. Thank you.
Can I just say real quick? So for the feet, I don't know if you can see my feet. Instead of doing a step and then just lifting the knee, make sure as you step down, it's a step pivot. And as you pivot, the hip moves.
Yep.
So every single time when you step pivot and you get that connection, if I'm connecting with this is my right hand, if I'm connecting with my right hand, my left hip is facing my leader. Now I step down into that left foot, step, pivot. If I'm connecting with that left hand, my right hip is now facing the leader. Yep. So if I'm doing it this way, you'll see a step, pivot, instead of step, lift, step, lift.
Yep, and I'm going to go over that in great detail right now with everybody that's solo. Yep.
Cool.
Okay, thank you. So now, if you are solo, and you read the description in all the promo that I did, see you, Hopper, tonight. If you're able to find 2 chairs or something you can work your frame against, or maybe you have your laptop in your doorway or something and you're working the door frame. These aren't ideal for me. They're a little bit low, but they're going to work. Okay, so this would be like best case scenario, you have a partner at home you can work with for the frame play. All right, so then next level, have something that you can bounce off of. 2 high chairs, 2 baby seats, high chairs, a door frame, something. Okay, worst case scenario, and it's not a big deal, you are dancing with your invisible partner. So this, if you're in this situation, you have to visualize that you're connecting. Let's say we're going to focus on the outside of the frame for now. So the outside of the frame gets connected. And as Jackie mentioned, we're going to keep that momentum going and keep that nice pivot in that hip. So here's the quality of movement that we're going to work on. So I'm going to bring my chairs back in here. And again, for the sake of where we're at with the lesson, I'm going to have to keep my frame a little bit lower than normal. This is really good for me, but if I turn, notice I'm not hitting the chairs at all. So for the sake of the exercise, I'm going to bring my hands down a little bit more. So now the movement, the quality of movement that we're going to work on, the key to keeping your momentum is the pivot. So as Jackie mentioned, as soon as I step into that foot, I just don't stop and then lift a knee. I'm going to pivot into that. And so now if I just kind of shift my body this way, you'll notice I'm solid, centered, and stable. I'm not crossed way over with the knee or kicking way over. My body is stable as I come into this connection point, this chair or your leader's hand. So I pivot into that connection. Everything is solid, centered, and stable. I continue that back and forth. Again, if you have two chairs, you're going to work the chairs or the door frame. Or if you don't have a partner, you have to visualize and control the movement yourself. So see how I'm hovering above the chairs, but I'm trying to feel like somebody's pressing against the outside of my frame there. I stop my arm from moving and I continue my momentum into it. That's the hardest thing to do solo. It's actually pretty good to do sometimes, is check your quality of movement and your control. So I can check myself on these step pivots, hovering above the chair. It's better if I drop slightly. Now I'm actually pressing into the chairs. And you see every time I'm continuing that hip into that step pivot, step pivot. So we're using the frame to create this rotation and this movement. Right now we're using the outside of the frame. And the hips are continuing their momentum and pivoting through. So watch that from the back here. I've got my two chairs. And so here I am. And I'm going to step and pivot into this connection. Right? Now I'm not going to let this arm go completely where I over-rotate and I collapse all the way into myself. So I'm going to keep a little bit of distance as I pivot into that connection. Yeah, so I have a nice spongy feel there, and I continue that motion here. So notice that the foot that I'm stepping on is pivoting. All right, so that's the basic motion that we're working with right now. So once again, this happens in all kinds of Balboa moves. It happens in Lindy Hop, Jitterbug, everywhere. As leaders lead different turns in different directions, you're going to feel your frame come into that connection, go into another direction. Leaders use the frame, but you have to come out of those turns with momentum. And this is what we're going to do now. And I promise I'm going to get into the triple steps at the end. Okay, so our basic movement is step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot. And at the end of every one of those, we have a really nice gather. The hip is going into the frame, and we feel that connection into the partner that you're with, into the chair or the door frame, or just visualizing I'm pressing into something and I'm going to control my hip and not completely go out of control. The third one's the toughest one. When you have nobody with you at all and nothing to block your frame, you can easily just be here and just spin away and let it go. So you got to visualize that something here is blocking you. Boom, 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 boom. And you got to control that frame as you're bouncing off your invisible objects. Okay, so now that's the basic movement that we're working with. Step, pivot, step, hold, step, hold. Now, here's where if you have a partner, at some point, they're going to take that frame or that connection away. So the leader literally takes away the right hand or the left hand. If you're dancing at home with an object, you might have to physically take your hand away in order, or for me personally, because this is a little bit lower than what my normal frame is, so I'm just going to bring my hand up slightly, and now I can go over that chair. If you're completely solo, you're going to have to create maybe a pattern for yourself, because each section is basically like playing with the frame in the air. So watch. I'm just going to do a little pattern. I'm going to start on to my right foot. So everybody's going to start to the right, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then on that next movement, I'm going to let my frame come over this chair, and I'm going to continue to turn step, 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 and I'm going to continue my momentum and pivot into my left hand. Watch that again. So if you're at home, leaders, you're going to feel it in your left hand, right hand, left hand, and then you're not going to connect with your right and let the follower turn. If you have objects, you're going to go into your right frame, left frame, right, go, 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 connect. And that connect point looks and feels exactly like that position. If I keep my momentum going back and forth, momentum, 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 even if I turn, momentum takes me into that connection. So the pattern we're going to have right now is a 1, a 2, a 3, step, step, step. A 1, 2, a 3, step, step, step. And that will take us the other way. So let's do this together. And again, followers, you're stepping and pivoting into the right foot. Don't just stand there and take the hip or the knee up or kick. Take it and step on that right foot and pivot into that first connection point. Chair, door frame, partner, air frame, whatever. Okay, 1, 2, 3, turn, turn, turn. 1, 2, 3, turn, turn, turn. Here we go. Step 1, step 2, step 3, turn, turn, turn. And 1 and 2, other way. Turn, turn, turn. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Turn, turn, turn. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Turn, turn, turn. Boom. Okay, now hopefully, as I was doing that, you can see that I am pivoting. Every time I'm taking a step, my foot is doing this on the floor. I never step flat-footed and feel a tweak in my knee. That entire time I was solid, centered, and stable. I never felt any weirdness in my knee or my hips. Everything was rotating in line. Now the trick is, every time I get to that connection point, I'm going to continue the momentum, and my hips are going to go right into that connection. Now again, as a follower, this is where you're going to be playing with your frame. Some people have, when I dance with them, a really stiff frame. So when they get to that spot, they feel really stiff. They feel heavy, for lack of a better term. Some followers have a looser connection. They might let it go a little bit more than what I'm showing. It's not wrong. It just has a different feel. Now, if followers let their frame go completely, you're going to miss that turn. You're not even going to feel that connection point to redirect you. So that's a whole nother can of weeds, if Valerie's out there, versus can of worms. That's our big thing here at the College of Swing, Air, and Knowledge. So this brings up your frame play. Now again, if you're at home with a leader, the leader might be working the outside of the frame, but then turn it to the inside of the frame. Same ideas, right? You might go 1, 2, 3 on the inside and release, right? And so whether it's connecting here on the outside of the hand or the inside of the wrist or the forearm, I mean, you can take this all different directions. You can go shoulders, you can go hips. I mean, there's a lot of different connection points you can have in the dance, but the technique is exactly the same when it comes to turning. As a follower, I'm feeling these connection points. My momentum is continuing to those connection points as much as I'm allowing my frame to do so. I'm going to say that again. My momentum carries me to the point which I allow my frame to go into. Again, some people are stiff, some people are loose, some people are in between. The worst case scenario is, and I'm going to do this from the front here so you can see this. So I was doing the exercise from the back. What happens a lot socially, I'm going to go back to this scenario. Let's say we have a good back and forth. So the back and forth feels pretty good because it's just one step. But what happens a lot socially is I'll lead a turn. The followers will turn and they'll stop right here and look at me and square up their hips and go, okay, what do I do now? And what was I expecting the hips to do? I was expecting the hips to continue their momentum into this connection. Yeah, watch that again. So if I turn, 1, 2, 3, turn, turn, stop, ready, ready to dance. Happens in Lindy, happens in Balboa. Square up the hips, stop your momentum, look at your partner, frame is ready. You might be ready, but you just killed all the momentum that we created in the dance. Now, the best, I think, leads and followers are the ones that are just like using the energy of the dance to create all this different movement, turns and whatnot. There's a lot of turning in Balboa. And this pattern, this hold, step, 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 hold, step, 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 you'll do that 1,000,000 times in Balboa. Are there variations on this? Yes, absolutely. Multiple turns, quick frame play, whatever. But for the sake of tonight's exercise, we're taking those 3 connection points, a 1, a 2, a 3, taking this connection point away, creating a turn, pivot, 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 and then continuing, boom, into that other connection point. Now I do 3 more, and I go the other way, pop, pop, and my momentum carries me to here versus stopping and being ready to go. Yeah, so that's a big trick, I think, for all followers, if you're dancing Balboa or any dance, to always feel what is happening on any rotational movement. Are you continuing that rotation? Are you allowing your frame to kind of resolve things? Or are you thinking about stopping, looking at your partner, and being ready? Like, I can dance with either one of them. I'm just letting you know how things feel. When you stop and look at me with frame ready, it's all good. I'm going to restart the energy again. What I encourage you to do is feel this beautiful flow, this beautiful energy in Balboa or whatnot throughout the entire dance. Now, again, we're just doing a simple exercise of frame play on the outside of the frame right now. Could happen on the inside, could happen behind the back, doing a Mickey and Kelly thing, pop, 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 catching behind the back and doing all this. It's all the same stuff. If you ever watch Mickey and Kelly very closely, Kelly's hips are always rotating into the connection. Boom, she adds styling and all kinds of stuff, but the momentum is there. She's always continuing her motion into Mickey's connection. He just chooses to take it here and take it behind his back, right? So it happens all over the place in the dance. So we're just working this particular moment. Okay, so let's do this again. Everybody up? All right, we're gonna go starting with the right foot, 3, then turn, 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 3, turn, turn, turn. Here we go. Step 1, 2, 3, turn, 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 connect, 1, 2, 3, turn, 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 connect, 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 no connection there, connect, 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 no connection, and continue those hips. So if you have a partner at home, hopefully you're feeling that connection go away and then reconnect. So if you are at home, because now if you have the chairs, the door frame, or the air frame where you're just stopping yourself in those connection points, you are obviously creating a pattern for yourself. I know I'm going to lift my left hand higher to miss that chair. Or I know on the third one, I'm going to go. So again, the best case scenario is once you do get a chance to partner up with somebody, then start to play with this, where the leader takes away the connection points. So if you're at home, I mean, maybe just do 2 or 3 or 5 or 7. It doesn't matter, like no more than 36, right? So as you're doing this stuff, leaders, if you're at home with a partner, play around with the number of times you connect with the outside of the frame, then let go. So it's I don't want to say it's a surprise, but it's just going to be different each time. You don't have to do the pattern 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Although that is a very common theme or a common pattern in BAL, it's not mandatory. We're just doing that for the sake of the exercise. With that said, let's change the number. Let's do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, just to see how that works. So here I am. So once again, we're going to do 2 connection points and then disconnect. So we're going to go into the right foot first for the sake of class. We're going to go 1, 2, step, 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 a 1, a 2, step, 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 momentum, momentum, pop, 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 momentum, momentum, pop, 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 pop. Right, left clockwise turn, right, left counterclockwise, shoot. And you see every time I come out, I'm rotating those hips. So I did 2. So again, the exercise, 2, 3, 1, 4. It doesn't matter. Play around with those ideas, and that'll get you rotating and finding this technique of pivoting through the turns, the technique of feeling the connection points that make that work. So the suggestion to me was turning with triple steps. And my answer to her was, well, it's actually the same technique for me. Let me turn this off while I'm here close to the computer. For me, it's the same exact technique, but you're choosing rhythmically to do a triple step. So instead of step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, step, 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 we're going to go step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, triple step, connect, triple step, connect. So this brings up a little bonus styling for followers in Balboa, where again, normally we would step through the turns on the beat, pop, 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 connect, but triple step, connect. Now here's the trick to the triple step. Just like stepping, I need to pivot. So it's like piv, trip, piv, pull, piv, step, piv. I got a little pivot every time. So instead of, I want to see this from the front, instead of being here and going 1, 2, 3, triple step, and just staying and then going, oh, I'm supposed to turn, right? Or 1, 2, 3, triple step, try to triple really fast, and then get to the end. I'm going to keep that same nice momentum, and as I triple, you'll see I'm going to pivot. So I'm going to pivot, triple step, whoop, into that connection. Check it out. I go 1, 2, 3, triple step, pivot. Oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3. Now when I release, I'm going to have the first step onto my right foot, trip, pivot, pull, pivot, step, pivot, boom. Right? And so it's taking this idea of the triple step and putting it into the turn. And I'm pivoting through every single step. Yeah, where before I was going pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, connect. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, triple step, boom, 2, 3, triple step, 1. And the entire time, my knees are in line, I'm in control, I'm solid, centered, and stable. And at no time do I feel a tweak in my knees. I don't take my feet and turn my foot away because I'm doing a triple step. My feet stay right in line underneath my hips. My hips are rotating with the tempo, and I'm choosing to put a triple. So now, not as common in Balboa, but in Jitterbug or Lindy Hop, like you might go like rock step, triple step, triple step. And I have that turn, right? So if you're dancing with a partner at home, do a tuck turn if you know what that is. Just do a rock step, triple tuck, and then that second triple step is going to be a clockwise turn for the followers. Well, while you're turning, you're going to pivot, triple, pivot, pull, pivot, step, and pivot all the way to the end. But if you think about just stepping flat-footed, your knees are a great feedback mechanism. If your knee ever feels tweaky, either the floor is so super sticky, or you're flat-footed, or the bad combo, sticky and flat-footed on the knee, stay on the ball of the foot, pivot through your movement, and I guarantee you will start to fix your triple steps and you're turning at the same time. So the question was working on turning while triple stepping. So that just brings up a whole nother level for you as followers, because mostly you're the ones getting the turns while you're doing all these rhythms. Lindy Hop, Jitterbug, Balboa, whatever. Each dance has a certain rhythm, and if you stay true to the rhythm, you might get a turn during a step, you might get a turn during a triple step, or any combination thereof if you're doing some other jazz movement. So a good thing to play with is make some different rhythmic choices as you go through the turn. For example, some bonus stuff. So real quick review. we were working on very, very basic movement. I'll do it from the back. And the basic movement is stepping through the turns with momentum. Step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, turn, 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 step, pivot, step, pivot, step, pivot, turn, 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 momentum. Then we added a triple step. A 1, a 2, a 3, triple step. A 1, a 2, a 3, triple step. A 1. Continuing the momentum. Now, what if I get to this connection here, and I get released, and I want this foot, drag into this connection. So I'm just adding some styling. I'm stepping on one foot. I'm on the ball of that foot, not flat-footed. If I'm flat-footed, I'm not going to go anywhere. But if I'm on the ball of the foot, now I go. And I'm choosing to drag this foot behind. So I can go step, pivot, hold, pivot to there. Or maybe I take the foot in front. Or maybe instead of going here and stepping, I'm here and I go all the way around with my right foot until the very end and connect this way. Check that out. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and turn to there. I didn't have enough weight off of this. But you can see that I'm making a choice to be here in this position, step on this foot, and if I do the basic turn, I step, pivot, step, connect. If I triple step, as I step into this foot while I'm pivoting, I triple step, connect. Now I'm going to step into this foot, boom, be on the ball, keep everything in line, drag my right foot behind, boom, into the connection. I'm going to choose not to step on this foot and release and pivot this way and then come down or up here. My point is, for followers, every time you get a turn, you have rhythmic choices at your disposal. Step on the foot, stay on the foot you were on, triple step, single step through it, ball change through it. There's an endless amount of possibilities that you can start to play with rhythmically. And so put some music on and just start turning around the room. Challenge yourself and do a triple step. Just pivot through it, pirouette through it on one foot, on the other foot, clockwise, counterclockwise, with a foot dragging behind, with a foot lifted behind, or a figure 4 in front. Just try all of these different things. And so the last thing I'll leave you with, besides all of this here, is just like real simple turning technique. Like if you're here and you're just standing, you might just do like a little bit of a prep with your upper body, like a little pop, 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 and then that's the equivalent of us stepping and connecting into here. But let's say you're not dancing with anything here. I'm gonna prepare, and then I'm gonna work my left foot, and I'm just gonna get a little quarter turn. That feels good. I'm gonna prep. I'm gonna do a half turn. Whoop. Control. Then I'm gonna go 3/4. Pop, pop, pop. 3/4. Always trying to be in control. Then pop, pop, pop. Try to get all the way around in control. Solid, centered, and stable. Work the other direction. So I'm gonna work it all the way around to the left. I release all the way around, solid, centered, and stable. Now you start playing with pop, pop, pop. Triple step, working all the way around. Work that twice through. Work that a turn and a half. Again, prepping. Now I'm going to stay on my right foot. Maybe lift the left leg off the ground. I do that a quarter turn. Prep. Instead of stepping on my left, I keep my weight on my right foot. I'm going to do a 3/4 turn. Control. I'm going to bring it all the way around to you. Prep. The upper body. I feel a nice little contra body, little twist in my upper body. I'm going to keep my weight on my right foot. I'm going to come all the way around to you. Solid, centered, and in control. Work that clockwise, work that counterclockwise. Work that with a triple, work that with any kind of jazz rhythm, and try to feel yourself be solid, centered, and stable through all of it. So again, our pattern tonight was hold, step, hold, pop, 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 hold, step, hold, pop, pop, pop. Leaders working outside frame, inside frame, changing the number of hold, step, holds if you have a partner at home. If not, work your chairs, work your invisible partner, figure that out. Is this exercise useful for me to gain more balance? Yes. Okay, so here's the thing about balance. What I would recommend is bring things close to you. What I mean by that is a favorite table, a chair, a whatever. Don't give yourself tons of space because you're going to challenge yourself not to fall into said table, said vase, said picture, whatever. And that'll really make you be in control. I don't want you to be scared. Don't squeeze yourself into a small area, but don't be so super safe. But I mean, okay, let's face it. If you're really off balance, then okay, for a while, be super safe. Put cushions all over the place and fall all over. I mean, if you're tilting and teetering and tottering all over the place, then you really got to work on your center. That last exercise I showed you about just prepping and doing a little quarter turn, half turn, 3/4 turn, and a full turn, that's really going to help you feel your center. You've got to feel where the ball of your foot is. You've got to feel where all those little muscles that help stabilize you are. You've got to do it on your right foot. You've got to do it on your left foot. You've got to do it clockwise. You've got to do it counterclockwise. You've got to do it with triples. You've got to do it with ball change, ball change. You got to do it with one leg up, one leg down. All that other stuff I said right at the end, it's a little more advanced, but those are the things you've got to play with to feel where your balance is. And for some of you out there, some people just have that equilibrium thing going on. They just have bad balance or whatnot, and when they get a free turn, it's just scary all the time. So if a follower, I always say, if a follower is a right drifter for whatever reason all the time, I move to the right with her, with the follower, and I make them feel like they did the most perfect turn out socially. But these are things you can work on all by yourself in your Balboa, in your Lindy hop. Work that 3 connection, 3-step turn momentum, continuing the hips. Try it with triples. Try it with all kinds of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge, Balboa edition, and more. I hope you enjoyed. If this brought you some joy this evening or improved your dance skills at all, or if you're a teacher and you think you can utilize this in some of your classes or workshops, I use this all the time when I'm teaching lollies, throwout variations, all kinds of stuff, the momentum, the connection, and all of that stuff. Think about any class that you normally have for an hour, split it in half. Please donate that amount for the knowledge that I provided for you this evening. Anything helps, so please click that donate button. Help us out. Help me keep doing these every night. And as always, Monday, Jazz. Tuesday, Charleston. Wednesday, Lindy Hop and Jitterbug. Thursday evening, Swing here in Spokane. Friday, Shag. Saturday, BAL-SWING. Sunday, Teachers and Organizer edition. Joel's College of Swing Era Knowledge. Night, night. Crazy about you. Thank you.